Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show. Mark and Ken.
What's correct?
Episode 145 of the Shite podcast show. Ken.
Yeah, you feel old yet?
Slightly. I'll wait till, I think I'll feel old at 200. So we've a bit of ways to get before we get to 200.
Yeah.
45 to be precise.
No.
That figures is 90.
The 45 brings to 190.
Yeah, 190. I don't know. Yeah, definitely maths on there. It'll probably be 55, wouldn't it? Yeah.
You broke your own rule.
Yeah, I constantly break my own rules. It's not a good look for me doing maths on air. We had a quiz where I had to count all the scores. I wonder who actually won that quiz, or what the actual scores were.
Yeah. What really happened?
Yeah, well, you ever see the meme of Kermit the Frog, and he's staring out a rainy window, and he's like, I always wonder what happens to people when they ask me for directions, and even though I didn't know, I gave them directions anyway.
That's Mark.
Yeah, that's me with maths. Yeah, so it's been kind of a weirdish week.
Yeah, it's not been too eventful in the way of stories.
Yeah, there's just a lot of negative to be said about the lockdown. But one of the good things, like dickhead Audi drivers, were able to work from home, and now that they've started to ease the restrictions, you're starting to see a reemerging of dickhead Audi drivers. So that's a negative that's happened this week. I noticed.
Just Audi drivers like this.
Oh well, there's stereotypically Audi drivers, but they come in Range Rovers. You see the odd Merc here and there, the odd BMW. It's generally the dickhead guy who's trying to speed through traffic to get home to beat his wife. That's generally.
Allegedly.
That's generally the reason why they're getting home. Like, they had a hard day at work, they have to take out their frustrations, so they tailgate people in the fast lane and swerve over to the slow lane and cut people off, and just generally be dickheads on the roads. So they went away during the coronavirus, but I've seen them, a large number of them back on the roads. So they're clearly back working in the office, cheating on their wives, and no longer working from home. It's been a stressful week for all of us, I'm sure. But it was quite nice being on the road when there wasn't that much traffic. Like, I was stuck in my semi-traffic. Wasn't really stopped. It was just moving slower than it normally would.
Yeah.
There the other day, and it was back to just people swerving like maniacs. And you're like, oh, how I didn't miss this.
The thing that I didn't miss is fucking roadworks.
Yeah, there's been a lot of roadworks around as well. But yeah, in terms of our stories, obviously whatever happens in the kind of society around us kind of affects our storytelling. And I think our show has been affected this week by the stories. There's a lot of reopening stories, there's a lot of protest stories, and there's a lot of outrage stories. So I think we'll give our listeners a rundown of what we had on the show, coming up on the show. So if they wanted to skip to a part where they're like, "Oh, I really am interested in that," they can. So we're going to start off talking about McDonald's reopening and the madness that's happened with that. We have a COVID-19 story where a monkey steals a test sample. We were meant to get to. Just after we recorded the show, I came across this story, and we'd obviously just recorded it, and I'm like, why does this always happen? Why does good stories always happen after we record it? Then we have a TikTok tea to talk about. Ken has a sex story, and we instantly everyone's going to skip to that and then work their way back. We already know this as a fact. And then some people are snoring more during lockdown. I don't know about you, Ken. Do you snore a lot?
I don't think so.
I'm accused of it, but I don't believe them. I think they're all liars. Then we have Little
They're
Britain.
all liars.
They're all clearly lying. Like, I do not snore. Then Little Britain has been axed, taken off Netflix and BBC Player. We also have a story from last week that we didn't get to, and we mightn't get to this week, but we'll try. We really will. It's of Google being sued by a guy in California for basically sharing his information or search history while on kind of incognito mode.
Yeah.
So that's our show coming up for this Thursday's episode. And yeah, so it's a fun mixed bag of stories there. We've a bit of COVID, we've a bit of, like I said, outrage stories. We've also a bit of slightly weird sex story that you have, which I'm looking forward to. I know our listeners are too. So let's get into it so we can get onto it. If people are fans of the show, hardcore fans of the show, they will know you love McDonald's. In fact, when we used to do this show in person, Ken would go to McDonald's after every single show. So you must be missing McDonald's really bad.
Yeah, like I'm quite fond of an old McDonald's.
I think everyone's quite fond of a McDonald's. Like, I don't know anyone goes, no, it's rotten. Well, actually, they know people like that, but like people also hate tea. Like people's judgment can't be trusted.
I don't like fucking drive-thrus though.
Yeah, so this must be like hell. This is like tempting you, like for your delicious McDonald's that you've been craving so much, but also being like, oh, you have to sit in a large queue and wait.
Yeah, like, I hate drive-thru.
What is it about drive-thrus that you don't like?
Just the whole fucking thing, like talking to some cunt in a box.
It's better than having to talk to the cunt in person. Surely, if you think he's a cunt, like having to not have to see his face is a giant plus.
You can just go into like McDonald's and use the little self-service thing, and pick up your food and.
Yeah, but imagine how long the queues would be if, like, instead of talking to that cunt on the phone, people had to navigate themselves around a self-service like selection.
Like, I also don't like. You see, I don't like eating McDonald's really in the car.
No, like I'm fully behind not eating McDonald's in the car. Like I don't like really any smelly foods in my car, and especially like now that we're going like into this COVID reopening, a lot of things that we used to do outside the car we're now kind of having to be doing in the car, and I'm not too sure if I'm like a huge fan of that. Like outdoor cinemas, they seem like a good idea until you have to be left the aftermath of your car when you have a load of people in the car.
Yeah.
And have to clean it up. Like, it's not fun. There's a reason why we go to the cinemas. It's so somebody else will clean it up. I think that's the only reason we go to cinemas. Or, yeah, now there's also going to be, like, drive-through concerts and comedy club things.
Yeah, drive-through concerts, that idea I don't really like.
No, the whole idea is like having drinks and like partying with your friends and like seeing live music. It's not going to be the same listening to it on a radio.
Yeah.
Like I've tuned into radios I've done a drive-through cinema, and like the radio signal is all right. It's pretty good. It all depends on like how good your radio in your car is. So
yeah,
hopefully it's fairly decent. But like in terms of like in Ireland, it's quite cold, or if so if the outside's cold and you have a load of people in your car, that'll create condensation on your windows. I know in the summer that mightn't be as a problem, but if it starts to rain, also people in the car, rain on the windows will create condensation as well.
Yeah.
So like, and you're not allowed to have your engine on, so there'll be a person coming around telling you to turn off your engine. Even though you have to demist your window. So if you have a slightly older car, or if you have any car, if the movie's like, let's say 3 hours long, and you just had like the key turning in the ignition, your car's battery is going to be dead.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So like, yeah, people like I do turn my engine on, and then I'll turn it off as soon as the security guy comes towards us, and then I'll turn it back on once he leaves. Like, you have to do it. It's either that or else you're going to have to get your car jumped by the guys at the end.
I don't like the ideas of like if you do a drive-through concert or like a drive-in concert, like whoever's driving can't drink.
No. No, generally, I've heard a person talking about this. Apparently, nobody can drink, so there's no drink allowed on site.
What's the point?
Well, it's probably for the love of music. We've criticized people over drinking at Metallica on this podcast before. Like, it ruined the whole thing. But it is still nice to have one or two drinks. Like, to go to the complete opposite and not be able to have any drinks at a concert. Like, like if they're a big enough band, I might want to see them. Like, it'd be very weird experience. Like, I've seen it done in other countries. Seen like, and some people had smoke machines in their car, so they brought like a smoke machine in their car, and they had like luminous lights. So they kind of brought the like kind of festival atmosphere to their car, which was kind of funny. But that was like a dance concert, which you imagine like with dance concert you're meant to be like everyone dancing in your car. Whether it was like I don't know, like acoustic session with like James Blunt or someone like that. Maybe like acoustic guitarists are kind of made for the drive-through music ones where you can just sit and spoon somebody in the back seat, like not like I couldn't see like a Metallica concert being being done on like a drive-through.
No.
Where can you do your cocaine from?
Dashboard.
Dashboard, I guess so. It's not the same. That's what Portaloos are made for.
Is that what you'd be doing in the Portaloo?
No, I don't even use the Portaloos. They're disgusting. I'll piss upside the fence.
I don't think there was any real proper Portaloos at Metallica, though, was there?
There was. You just didn't use them.
Like
you know where you're pissing. You know that fence you're pissing against. Just behind that, there's Portaloos. I think the organisers were trying to use them as some sort of toilets. I don't know. Either that or else a barrier to keep the trees out. Like I said, like at Metallica, I think I had four one of those plastic cups. Wouldn't even say there's a pint in it. Because and that was like from the start to the end of the day, like because I wanted to actually enjoy Metallica. But I don't know, like that. I think it's a slightly step forward, like further away to say, oh, not to drink at all. I've done it at festivals before. Actually, I haven't, like, because even a festival that I didn't drink that much, I still drank like straight vodka. So like, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm not one for getting wasted at concerts, because I kind of generally do want to enjoy it. But I don't know about going to a drive-thru where you're not having any drink.
Yeah, like generally at concerts, I'll drink until the main support act.
So none of this has nothing to do with drive-thru McDonald's. But if you're familiar with the show, this generally does happen from time to time. So McDonald's has reopened, but they've only done drive-thru you can't go in and order your food and wait outside or wait in the restaurant. They make you have to use a drive-thru. Ken hates drive-thru McDonald's because he hates interacting with people. But a lot of people, even though they may not necessarily not even have a car, have tried to go through the drive-thru. So people have been waiting, obviously, months for their McDonald's. And they even though they don't have a car, they haven't allowed that to slow them down. So there's videos going around of people using creative ways of actually trying to order McDonald's through a drive-thru. Now, in fairness to the staff of McDonald's, and realise this is a difficult time for people, they're not as snobbery about what vehicle or lack of you're using. As long as it resembles some form of vehicle, they'll generally will serve you. So a man made a cardboard cutout of a car and kind of sellotaped it around them, and so they're in the queue along with all the other actual cars in order to actually get served. Now, in fairness to this staff, like I said, they did oblige. I seen a girl sit on a trolley obviously after being in the shops doing her shopping, and decided she might as well get a bit of dinner while she's there, and ended up getting a takeaway McDonald's as well. A girl was riding a horse. There's been a few videos of lads in toy cars as well trying to, like, electric. One of the ones you might stick you, like, a 5-year-old kid, and it kind of is a kind of electric thing, was using that in order to order McDonald's. The best one has to be a guy using a tank.
An actual tank.
An actual tank. So, like, they didn't look that old. Like, we've talked about this before on the podcast about people being able. I think it was last week's podcast or the week before last, where we talked about in England you can't. Like, they have stricter gun laws, but you can buy a tank. But in America, you can't buy a tank, but they have looser gun laws.
Yeah.
Obviously, someone was listening to that podcast and bought themselves a tank because they were only like probably late 20s to early 30s.
How much does a tank cost?
Like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, they, like, first of all, like, you think that the ones, people that would order a tank, maybe some rock star. And I know, I think one or two of the Rolling Stones might have a tank. I think Jeremy Clarkson has a tank. You think people like that were a little bit wealthy. You imagine it would be like, if you know, average car costs about 20 to 30 grand. A tank must be in the range of like 50,000 to 80,000, possibly 100,000.
The tank has to cost a fair bit.
Yeah, and so for a group of lads to be driving one, to order a McDonald's, is quite strange. Now, in fairness, I don't know, because it did show the people who were videoing this were in the tank when they were ordering the McDonald's. So people who were videoing them, they videoed themselves ordering it, obviously, because they wanted to get the novelty of having a tank. I wonder if you can rent a tank. Maybe that's what they did. But would they be open? Like, this raises so much questions about how they managed to get a tank, and and where can we buy a tank?
Shite Talk needs a tank.
Shite Talk needs a tank. They'll go alongside our cockfighting promotion. A tank. Like, something that hangs banner off. I think a tank would be doable. We do know people in the army. We wonder if we can get any of our army friends.
Get a tank.
To, like, bargo a deal on a tank.
We'll have to question that one.
There's a guy, I think he was in Coronation Street, or some form of soap that is being investigated by England police for selling drug gangs or war criminals planes.
Planes?
Yeah, I don't know who he was, but I remember that I was listening to a show called on 2FM by Chris and Kira, and they're talking about this guy who was in a soap that he was selling, like, illegal planes. So I wonder I don't think he's in prison. So if he's still doing the drug smuggling or the plane selling, he can probably surely get us a good price on a tank. We have to make a few phone calls. But anyway, these lads managed to get themselves a tank and order it. Now, I think this might have been before COVID, because didn't look like customers. There were people wearing face masks in McDonald's. Now, because I think it's only like later on this month, is when England opens back up for McDonald's to order a takeaway in actual McDonald's. Which it doesn't make sense, because you can go into a coffee shop in order to order a coffee. Obviously, numbers might be a problem, and you can go into a Tesco's to buy food. So I don't understand why you can't go into a McDonald's in order to order McDonald's, as long as everyone's keeping 2 meters apart.
Plus, because they've got, like, I don't know why you can't go into right? Maybe you can't sit in there, but why you can't go into a McDonald's and order on the self-service thing?
Oh, that's because you're touching it, I think.
Yeah, but, like, you're touching the self-scans and stuff in shops, and you just wash them down every 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, but I think it's like Yeah, I think it's a volume of people. I know, like in shops, like you can use
Yeah,
self service, and I've seen queues at them. And like I think, as long as you wash your hands when you get back into your car, or you're wearing gloves, you should be fine. So, like I think there's enough precautions, and even if it isn't like government guidelines, like shops, buses, and all them, they can make their own rules. Like we already have dress codes for certain restaurants. Like you can't go in there with a top on or a shirt on. So I think
yeah.
you'll just see rules around like public transport and stuff like that. Like Dublin bus saying you must have a face mask on.
Closing, well, no, like opening McDonald's only for drive-through, like has annoyed
Yeah, like I can see why it has an idea, Ken,
me.
because you just love us sitting on plastic seats and holding trays. Like you must be.
Yeah, it's just like give everybody just a paper bag. Give you all your crap in a paper bag, and either limit the amount of seating in the place, like they're going to do with pubs when they fully reopen,
Yeah.
or just say, okay, you have to fuck off and use the outside table.
So like I think obviously this is a very new situation, and so like everyone's trying to figure the shit out themselves, and every day is a
Yeah,
learning day. I think for most places. So yeah, so you're getting all these kind of what seem like nonsensical rules, like having to use drive through even though you can go into a shopping center, or um and you can order a coffee by walking through like that like these rules are being fleshed out, but it's just because people don't want to be sued or seen to be or criticized because didn't do enough or they opened up too soon. I think really is the big problem with
yeah.
that. Our next story is one that like we just finished recording the show, and I came across this story. So like this constantly happens. It's like Murphy's Law, where you're looking all day for something and you finally record a podcast, and then a story that you definitely would have had in the show you come across. It's kind of annoying, but we can use it. And it's of a monkey in India has stolen a load of test samples from a lab. We don't know what the monkeys want with the test samples. Maybe it was like a spy monkey. We've talked about Pakistani having spy birds, but maybe they have spy monkeys, and they use the exact kind of these test samples of coronavirus patients or possible coronavirus patients, and put it in the water supply, giving everyone COVID-19.
And creating a big, massive conspiracy.
Yeah, in doing so, or it could be that monkeys actually generally steal stuff to bargain with people.
Nah, no. Definitely conspiracy.
Let's go with let's go with conspiracy. But they did actually steal these test samples. Now I think three of the samples went missing, but they're able to trace back to people who actually got lost, and they just had to be retested. So it wasn't a huge problem in terms of the lab, and the samples that they did get back weren't damaged.
Yeah.
But in terms of like them stealing it, it was kind of odd for a monkey to want to take it, and so they're asking people why would a monkey want to take it, and if a monkey could possibly digest some blood, would they have the coronavirus? And
That's a fairly good question.
yeah, it is a very very good question. Now they said although there is cases of humans spreading the coronavirus to animals, it is still very very rare. So they don't think there's any any risk of a monkey possibly spreading it to us or vice versa. But they said it could happen. Now, the missing samples, we could just see a spike in coronavirus around monkeys. We'll have to wait and find out about that. But they said it's still very, very rare. And in terms of why they take it, well, generally, if a monkey steals something, they'll generally barter with it. So monkeys have this have learned a way of bartering.
Do they?
Yeah, so like if you go to anywhere where there are a load of monkeys and humans are interacting with them, they will take stuff off of humans, and generally what they know what the humans will do is they'll offer them food for them to drop the camera or whatever. So generally they'll hold onto the camera. Somebody will come over with a bit of food. They drop the camera and they get the food.
Okay.
Yeah, so like you'd often, I was in a monkey temple before, and yeah, the monkeys would come up. They would root through your bag and they try to take stuff. And you're told all the time, don't hit the monkeys because they are quite rude, and they bite people as well.
Don't hit the monkeys.
Yeah, there's just like just
they're
try not
quite
to hit.
rude.
Yeah, you're in their habitat, so don't be a dick. So like, but generally, if you're not like flashing your GoPro at them, they won't take anything of you. Like, generally, it's the people who are like going up really close to them. They rob stuff from, and then
Yeah.
they have to go. Oh, here's some food. But monkeys have done this, so maybe they were a bit peckish, and they're like, that human looks like they're very protective over this that box over there. I'll just take it and try to eat it, and then they'll give me a banana. But yeah,
That's mad, like.
yeah, that is really mad. They believe that like monkeys are actually in the Stone Age. That some monkeys have entered the Stone Age.
Oh, now, like.
Well, last few years anyway, that they seem to use tools.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a monkey. There's I think a orangutan that lives around some tribe who hunt or fish with spears and has been seen to use a bamboo as a spear in order to catch fish. Yeah, so it's amazing. Oh, well, remember that 90s monkey that could skateboard?
no.
You know, remember that movie? There's definitely a movie. Like our listeners will definitely know what I'm talking about a monkey that learned how to skate. But they
Was it Dunstan Checks In, that one?
could be.
Was it a live action movie or was it a cartoon?
No, it was live action.
Maybe it's Dunstan Checks In.
Yeah, it could have been. And they've actually taught a monkey how to do sign language as well.
And Coco the gorilla.
Yeah, Coco the gorilla was
Yeah,
taught.
she's dead now.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, so like they can pick up stuff like that. So like they have actually learned also how to use tools and barter. So they're pretty much as intelligent as people from Dundalk.
Maybe even more so.
Maybe even more so. I don't know. There's other than monkeys stealing stuff from us. There's very little that triggers Irish people.
Right, okay.
It's mainly British, and that's about it. There's very little thing that triggers us, but there's certainly something I've seen online that triggered me, and it's triggered a lot of Irish people.
Okay, what was it?
It was an American trying to make tea. This is a video that's went viral on TikTok, and it is of a mother and daughter who want to do a tutorial. I don't know why the people asked of how to make English tea.
Maybe it's a piss take, though.
I think it was generally just to trigger people. I think it's generally to spread outrage. Some people just want to spread hate, and this was this mother and daughter were trying to do. Because I've seen people calling for the police to be rang. People are saying this people is outraged by the whole process. So I'll first go through the process for our listeners and for yourself. Have you seen this video?
Yeah, I've seen it.
All right. For people who haven't seen the video, and are you a big tea drinker?
Not really.
Not really. So you probably weren't as triggered by this.
They're just taking a piss, I think.
So basically, what they do was they get a cup of tea. They get a tea bag, put it in a cup. All standard procedures so far, but then they go over to the sink and pour cold water from the tap into the said cup, and
The tea bag was the last thing they added.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they did the water first.
The water, milk, tea bag.
Yeah, tea bag was last.
And then they stuck it in the microwave and made It didn't even like change the coloration of the tea. It was just like floaty milk, watery milk with a floater in it.
But this is why I think that they're taking the piss, right? If you watch the video, when they fill the cup up like fairly full with water before they microwave it, but
Yeah,
when they add the milk in, the cup is half empty.
that's good. That's a strong detective skills right there, Ken.
So like they're definitely they're taking the piss, like.
Maybe they are, because there's been many fights in many of houses down the years of tea being made wrong.
That's true.
Yeah, people. If it's not like some people give out, and if it's not poured, just after it's boiled, like if you wait, let's say half a minute, and then try to give a person a half a minute boiled cup of tea, they'll spit directly in your face. I
It's never
leave
been
the
a big of a
tea in
deal.
for 3 minutes, teabagging, and people are triggered by that.
So you give out if the if the water's not poured straight from the boil,
No,
but you
no,
leave it sitting for 3 minutes.
no. I don't mind it not be like once it's boiled. Like I don't mind that part. Like I'll leave it sitting for a while anyway, because I want to let it stew. But I don't. I also people have pointed out like, why don't you just leave the tea bag in it constantly? And my main reason is because I'm not a sociopath.
Yeah, I think that's disgusting.
It just touches your upper lip, and it freaks me out more than like that cup of tea being made.
I know a guy who makes his tea, right? It's like it's more milk than tea, and he leaves the tea bag in
Ugh.
it.
Like there's instructions on the Barry's packet of tea that tells people how to make the tea, and it says leave the tea bag in for 3 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes you're gonna have cold tea. So I think Barry's needs to cop onto itself and really look at the rules on how to make tea. So because I really don't think Barry's know how to make tea. But yeah, certainly I think 2 days ago, like more, it was kind of like being back when everyone did the protest, the blackout on Instagram. It was my Twitter feed was people giving out about this video. Everybody was retweeting outraged. Like I've never seen this much outrage over. Like I think since the bailout of the banks, I've never seen this much outrage.
Over nothing.
I wouldn't say over nothing.
100% over nothing.
Making a cup of tea is a sacred, well taught tradition in Ireland,
In
and
the grand scheme of things, like making a cup of tea doesn't really matter.
it kind of does, Ken.
No, not really.
It kind of does. Like if you make a person a bad cup of tea that comes in your house, it shows a real lack of like empathy, I think.
I just avoid that by not making anybody tea.
Yeah, see, you're the person who just doesn't like people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like,
Unless you're one of the rare people that I like.
so like sociopaths. Other than sociopaths, people like making people a nice cup of tea. Like they should. People, a lot of people will take pride, Ken, believe it or not, in being able to make a good cup of tea,
Like the
and
reason
it's seen as a personal insult to criticize a person's cup of tea.
the reason I wouldn't be arsed making people tea is because I don't really drink tea. You know, like I have maybe one cup of tea a week.
A week.
Yeah.
Like why? Like, is there a certain thing that happens on that day? Is there a certain thing you do that you associate? You need a cup of tea now, or is it just a case of
Like usually, no, just about one cup of tea a week, maybe.
All right. I guess we'll get onto your sex story then. So I think this is a moment where people have been waiting for on the show, is for Ken to go through his sex story. Personally, I think it should be a weekly thing and have its own theme song. But we'll
like
see.
like your quiz team song.
Yeah, but we'll see how this thing goes, and if it's if it catches on, we'll invest more kind of sound effects into it. So
We'll invest more time and effort into it.
yeah, exactly. So week one of Ken's sex story. This could be just a one-time thing, but take it away, Ken.
Yeah, so right, this guy paid two guys to break into his house. Don't know why it's all guys to start with, but anyway, this guy paid two guys to break into his house because he had a weird fetish, and we'll get to what the fetish is in a minute. But just what actually happened was the two guys at like 2:30 in the morning broke into the wrong house, and obviously the guy who paid them, like they had like an agreement where he was going to be all like, no, no, what are you doing in my house or whatever, and he was going to pretend he knew nothing about it. So they tied up this guy. They broke into this guy's house and they tied him up and they start tickling him and stroking him with a brush. And then after like a little while, they realized that this is the wrong house, and they just kind of apologized and left.
Oh my god. Okay, this raises so many questions. Like how did they what actually made them realize that this wasn't the guy?
I don't know. I'd say maybe because the guy didn't seem like he was into it.
Yeah, that could be it.
That was probably a big
he was just
giveaway.
getting increasingly annoyed at these robbers tickling him and doing weird stuff to him.
But they were tickling him with a brush.
Yeah. Like what? You think it was weird, like them not using their hands?
No, just like this guy.
I can't believe of everything in the story, the thing that you're right now focusing on is the fact that they're using a brush to tickle them with. Like there are so many moving parts of this story. That seems like a very small part.
I just think like it's fairly hilarious or weird that this guy's like sexual fantasy was that he wanted two strangers to break into his house in the middle of the night, tie him to a chair, and tickle him with a brush.
But like without a brush would be completely normal. Like what device would a vibrator be better?
But like why a brush?
Good brush. Or have you ever been tickled by like a brush?
No.
It's very annoying. It's like, you know,
yeah, exactly.
But like, you know, one of those. I imagine it's one of those for dustings. You know, one of those feather brushes. It won't be like the one that you sweep your floor with.
It said like a broom.
That would be just painful then.
That's like a proper like sweeping brush. Like
I thought it was like, you know, the like almost cartoon like feather brushes that you use to maybe get up and over like curtains or to do dusting.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be something like that, some real kinky shit like that. But the fact that was like, it'd be very hard to tickle someone with like a household brush.
Yeah,
like the whole thing is weird. I can understand people are into weird shit. So maybe some people like have fantasies of being broken into and like dominatrix kind of shit.
Yeah,
like we've heard of stories like that.
We've probably covered stories like that.
We've definitely covered stories like that. But I wonder, like, your man's like obviously expecting this. Maybe they didn't tell him what day they're going to break in because he likes being surprised. But if he knew,
being surprised.
But if he knew that they're coming on today, he's like, "Oh, where are they? Why haven't they arrived?" And him like, "Hey guys, what's the fuck? You're meant to be breaking into my house right now."
I wonder, like, what happened. Like, did they leave the wrong house and go to the right house?
I wonder if they had to explain. Yeah, exactly. Did they? Oh, sorry, we were late. Wrong house. But yeah, I wonder if they had to explain to your man, like, oh, some like really sick fucker, like people break into their house and like tie them up and do this shit. I'm sorry, don't call the police.
It's just like it's a mind-boggling story, like.
Yeah, like this needs to be a follow up of the story. We would need to see like an interview with your man, why he's into that shit. I want to see, like, I need more details. Right, really, the story kind of ends quite quickly. They didn't go into a whole lot of detail.
That's all the detail that was in the article. Like, there's no like, you know, did the guys get arrested? Did your man report it to the police? There's none of that. Like, you know, it was just like that was the end of it. And it came off like I got it off Sky News, so it's like it is a thing.
Yeah, it comes off like I guess a mainstream news thing isn't like mad stories of the week. Yeah, like imagine like Sky News would have went a little bit more like journalistic depth here, like maybe interviewed the victim of this savage sex crime, or or possibly tracked down the guy who like ordered male prostitutes to his house.
Yeah,
Like, what was it
that's
going
another
to?
thing.
Was
Were they male prostitutes or were they just like
like I'd be surprised if
random?
it didn't end in sex.
Yeah,
Like
maybe that's
surely
when they realized
the whole idea of getting tied up is that you end up ejaculating over something or someone.
something.
I don't know. Maybe he was really attracted to like sweeping brushes.
Okay.
Like, would that be the weirdest part of the story if it was true? Well, actually, it probably would be.
It probably would be.
Yeah, that actually would be definitely the weirdest part of the story. But like, I think Ken's sex story was a success.
We'll see.
Your mission for next week is to bring us another sex story, and we can have a weekly show of Ken's sex stories.
Are you going to write the theme song?
We will get a theme song if the show continues to be a success. Ken's sex stories will have a theme song. That is my word. I was contacted by a musician that wanted to make music for us. He's going to get a very weird challenge. So we have a team on our show called Ken's Sex Stories. Could you please make some music for that and possibly lyrics?
A little jingle.
Just tiny little jingle, maybe 30 seconds of Ken's sex stories. Could go like da 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 da. Is Ken's sex stories.
We could end up doing a story next week on ourselves.
I don't know where you're going with Ken's sex stories, but this is not going to become a live action thing.
No, like with the trying to get somebody to write a jingle. Like.
yeah. Local musician mistakes podcasters' claims to write a funny jingle into wanting sex.
It wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's happened.
No, we recently accused of stealing an ATM. We have actually been accused of a lot of things lately. This could come a team for us. Another kind of duo that was actually accused of something was the creators of Little Britain.
Yeah.
And this isn't kind of new for them. They have been criticised openly in the past about pretty much every character on their show about offending somebody or something. But recently, after all that's happened, they have been criticised of being racist for using blackface openly in both characters' skits. Now, for people who haven't seen Little Britain, the creators are David Williams and Matt Lucas. I'm a fan of Little Britain. Like, I think I do find their skits funny.
Yeah.
And normally when something like this comes along, I'll more likely I'll come along and I'll try to stand up for these shows over political correctness. But I'd struggle to defend Little Britain. I don't think it's intentionally a racist. But there's a character that throws up every time they see a black person.
See, I was never a fan of Little Britain.
Yeah, you probably thought the humor was too simple.
Shite.
I wouldn't say shite now. I think shite's the wrong word to use there. Little Britain was the kind of a show, first season came out and it kind of flew under the radar for a bit. But remember when people used to get annoying text teams on their phone?
Yeah.
So you text a number and you get this sound thing.
Yeah.
The Little Britain one came out. There's one that came out for Little Britain, and that itself created an explosion of the show because everyone was doing yeah but no, or I Didn't Do It was one that everyone had for their theme song, and once it got popular, it came very very annoying very quickly because everybody was just doing the catchphrases of the shows.
See, that was kind of my issue with Little Britain, right? Was that everything revolved around. It was always the same. It was always the same thing. Like each skit was just, let's try and do the same thing, but make it look like it's different, but
Oh
it's
no,
the same.
I definitely disagree. Like obviously there were characters that had catchphrases. That the whole running theme of this was they were like there was a guy who wasn't actually in a wheelchair, pretending to be in a wheelchair. So all of his skits were around that one thing. And obviously the woman that threw up every time they seen a black person, of that was around the one thing. Like but like in terms of their skits all being the same, like a lot of them had a lot of depth to them if you looked at them properly. Even like your one over Weight Loss Watchers one, and she's about dust. Anybody know dust? Like that obviously
It,
was the catch theme of that, but also a lot of the other skits were about like idiocies of people trying to lose weight in Weight Watchers or that whole thing. But like all these characters were just turned up to 11. They're basically a commentary on life in Britain or around Britain. But all the characters were turned up to 11 to come like a distorted version of what Little Britain was.
well, it was just the same thing over and over again.
No, like by the end of it, it became repetitive. But when it first came out, it was one of the funniest shows that was on TV.
I know, I never liked it at all.
But yeah, there's been obviously a lot of criticism of Little Britain. Now, I can fully see why people would criticize Little Britain for being racist and stuff like this. But generally, it isn't people from the minorities that are criticizing Little Britain. Like any kind of disability criticisms of the show didn't come from people who were suffering from these disabilities. Vast majority were people who were able-bodied, criticizing, saying that that the show was offensive to people in wheelchairs. And people in wheelchairs goes, "No, I found it funny." No, you didn't. You did not find it funny. You were offended. For like all the people who were actually criticizing like Little Britain being gone, I'm like, when's the last time you watched Little Britain?
Yeah, like, when is the last time anybody watched it?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, I've maybe if I came across it, I might throw it on. Maybe like, I've watched Pokemon episodes. But like, I don't think it was a show that I was like, oh, I really want to watch Little Britain.
Like, surely it's aged terribly as well.
Yeah, like I think for new viewers, it wouldn't be the best. Like,
Like, I used to really, really like Harry Enfield,
yeah,
and like that's on TV every now and then. You watch it and you're like, this is like really, really, really like outdated. It just did not age well at all.
yeah, and I'm kind of feeling that Little Britain would be a show that would be like that as well. Like for its time, it was very, very funny. It was something that felt really new and hadn't been done in a while. That kind of slapstick comedy. But right now, like a lot of the jokes are like have just aged obviously horribly, and you can understand why likes of Netflix and BBC don't want to be seen to offend anybody right now.
Yeah,
So like, even though I would be a fan of Little Britain, I don't. I think obviously David McWilliams like he isn't a racist and like was just doing it as kind of a commentary on society around Britain, and it wasn't really to offend anybody. But even at the time, it was extremely edgy for the time. So obviously now, where people are that more sensitive, it's going to be like obviously very unacceptable.
yeah.
But it's like one of these shows that like I don't know if shows like that will be able to be made anymore, or at least not anytime soon.
That like, there's an argument for and against that. Like, because with comedy, you should either be able to laugh at everything or nothing.
Yeah, no, generally, I definitely I would agree with you.
Like, okay, So the problem with it was that David, whatever the fuck, he dresses up in blackface.
Yeah, well, he
Yeah.
dresses up in
So
blackface. He also does a lot of fat shaming, what people would call, and
yeah.
he
So are Netflix going to remove White Chicks or Big Mama's House?
probably
Because
not.
White Chicks is the Wayans brothers dressed up as two white girls, and Big Mama's House is Martin Lawrence dressed up as a big fat woman. Are
Uh,
either of those movies going to be removed?
Probably not.
No. So then it's a double standard.
Yeah, you can see at the time right now, like all this boils down to money, and will they lose a lot of money or possibly viewers or subscribers for having Big Mama's House? Probably not. Will they lose it over Little Britain or come into a lot of criticism right now? Probably.
Probably not, because nobody would have paid any attention to it. Nobody would have, like, when's the last time somebody watched it?
I don't know, but like they got criticised over Friends a lot. Like Friends,
Yeah, but Friends recently made a comeback. Little Britain hasn't. Like, people start watching Friends again recently. Like, people in their late teens and early 20s that are like fucking social justice warriors over fucking nonsense. Like, I got 4 ice cubes in a McDonald's shake. There should have only been 3. Let's start a protest. Them kinds of people have started watching Friends again.
yeah, but
Like,
like
they haven't been watching Little
but
Britain.
people who scroll down on their Netflix, if you're from Britain, it will come up best of British comedies, and Little Britain would appear in pretty much every search for that or British programs. So if you keep scrolling down your for search things, it'll come up best of whatever or best of US comedies, best of this, best of that. So I'm pretty sure if you're from Britain, it'll come up best British comedies or made in Britain movies because they want to promote that. Hey, we're from Netflix, but we also support the movie industry in your location.
So
So
they,
what?
what about Faulty Towers then? Let's remove Faulty Towers. They use the N word.
Well, they also make fun of a Spanish person as well. I thought you were going to go with that.
Yeah, well, like they use the N word, so let's remove Faulty Towers as well.
Well, you're probably going to actually now set a mob on Faulty Towers.
Like, you know, comedy has to be taken like in. It's all subjective.
Yeah, like I think
It has to be taken in context.
like none of the black characters in A Little Britain were really attack on the black community. It was more attack on like society or behavior in Britain or to be funny or whatever. It was just like a really animated character. Like
Yeah,
all the characters were very over the top.
like yeah, just get rid of everything that ever makes fun of anybody.
But in fairness, like Little Britain went after everyone. They had a gay character being the only gay in the village, but yet there was loads of gay people in the village. It wasn't criticizing gay people, but gay people there's
Yeah,
certain
but see, they get away with that because Matt Lucas is gay.
no, they have actually came into criticism over even transgender people criticizing them over like a few of their skits as well.
I'm with South Park in this one. Laugh at everything or laugh at nothing.
No, like I fully agree with you. Like I had no problem with.
Like, again, like I don't like Little Britain, but like if you don't like something, just don't watch it.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, like I said, it's very, like, a lot of their skits are very hard, like, to defend. Like, a character with a person who chew up every time they see a black person, or a few other skits around, like, people who suffer from obesity or stuff like that. Like, they're not really, the people who suffer from obesity aren't really offended of the fact that they're making fun of people who are fat. They're offended with that they're fat.
But again, they could get away with that because Matt Lucas is fat. Like, Matt Lucas is fat and gay, so he can get away with making fun of fat people and gay people.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't think. Well, I'm gay, so I can make fun of people. I think people will still get offended by that.
Yeah, but like he can, people can't say he's being homophobic because he's gay.
Yeah, that's true enough. It'll be harder to defend.
Like, that was the thing with South Park. When South Park first came out, people were like, "Oh, it's homophobic and it's xenophobic and it's fucking anti-Semitic and stuff." And then they were like, "Oh, well, actually, like Trey Parker's gay and Matt Stone's a Jew, so
Yeah, so like go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is a time that we live in where people are going to be more critical over the type of humor. So what we're going to be left with is going to be like comedies like that Space Force movie where they don't really offend
Right.
anybody.
Yeah,
But
just shite.
but it's just pure awful as well. But there are people who are into it. Like the comments for that Space Force stuff is like either this is the worst pile of shite I've ever watched, or I'm so addicted to it.
That's because people are idiots.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like, people will say that they like it just because it offends nobody.
Yeah, or people are just into that kind of like we said, comedy is subjective. People are just into that sort of comedy. But I think for a lot of people, like anybody I've talked to, either I haven't watched it or have watched very little of it and then said no, it's just bad. Like I want
Yeah.
to like it, like cause it has a fucking really good cast. But
Yeah, like, I don't know.
but like yeah, like I don't know how it can be that bad with as big of budget as it looks like it had, and has like a really fucking funny cast.
Like, and another issue I have with, like, people taking issue with Little Britain now is, should neither of those lads care, because they've made their money from it. They've made their names from it. So, like,
I
fuck off.
imagine that they don't be labeled as homophobic, racist, sexist, and like trying to offend any minority. Like I don't like they don't come across the people who are like that. They're not out there to offend people. They're all they went out there to do was make a comedy with characters that they found funny themselves. Like
And, like, that was a massive show at the time. So then you're not only saying that the creators are fucking all these things, you're saying everybody that watched it is all these things. 'Cause people obviously watched it because they thought it was funny.
yeah.
And, like, it was massive. So you're saying that everybody who watched it is also whatever, homophobic and whatever.
Yeah. So I don't think we've run out of time. So once again, I don't think I don't think we're ever going to get that Google story done. But basically, we might actually.
See, you got me to rant now over Little Britain. That's what happened there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. We both just ranted over Little Brain. Basically, it's just a man who is now suing Google for using because they track information over incognito. So even if you're using some secretive mode, they still sell off your data to companies to advertise at you. But that's basically the story. We're probably never going to talk about it. We'll be back next Thursday. Like, share, and subscribe.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Until next time, keep sending in any weird stories that you may have, or start, I should say. Sending in weird stories that you may have so we can talk about it on air, because it really make our job a lot easier.
And more fun.
So until next Thursday, Ken, I guess we'll leave the show there.
Yeah.
Shut up and sit down.